keep listening to KPFT and maybe do your part when it comes time for the pledge drive.
Support for KPFT and the Prison Show is provided by the Cohen Parole Law Firm. For almost 40 years, Gary Cohen has helped represent incarcerated individuals throughout Texas obtain parole and fight parole revocations. We protect those who have fallen short of perfection from the wrath of those who believe they have attained it. For more information about Gary Cohen and his associates, Alan Bennett and Gene Anthus, you can find it at the website, parolelaw.com. You may also contact them at 512-476-6201.
Listeners should be aware that the following program contains language and audio images which may be found disturbing and may not be suitable for your snotty-nosed little brat who probably cusses like a sailor behind your back anyway. Parental discretion is advised.
Daddy, I'm coming to see you at visiting hours next week. Mama ain't been doing too well, I'll tell you more when we speak. And Bill is loving high school. He's out there blocking for JV. I'm sure he's gonna come around by the time you give a list. It's Friday night, the inmates go quiet. Listen for a voice they know. It's prison.
It's time to holler down the pipe chase and rattle them bars, because we're going to do a prison show for you right here at beautiful old, historic old, exciting new KPFT Houston, from the heart of Montrose, where we all hope tomorrow will be a better day.
Dreams, I can see your freedom. I will hold you once more. The man with no visitors, no money on the books. Remember, David's always gonna be here. You're never so alone. This thing's my love. It's Friday night, the inmates go quiet. Listen for a voice they know. It's prison radio. Prison radio.
And welcome to the Prison Show. Today is Friday, March the 15th. Beware the Ides of March. Remember that. I'm sure you remember that from school, right? Well, tonight David has a great show lined up for us. First up, we have Andy Kahan, Director of Victim Services and Advocacy at Crime Stoppers of Houston. We also have Paul Morgan, Criminal Defense Attorney, and of course Abe Bonowitz, the co-director and founder of Death Penalty Action. He will be here, so tonight is going to be jam-packed with information. Hopefully you have your pen and paper handy so you can jot down information. We wouldn't want you to miss it now, would we? All right, so let's get going. First up, we have Mr. Andy Kahan.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We are very happy that you were able to come on to the show. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am the Victim Services Director of Crime Stoppers. And if you don't know about Crime Stoppers, we are the largest Crime Stoppers in the country here in Houston. We're the only Crime Stoppers with its own building, actually just about 10 blocks from where you are, right here as well. We're the only Crime Stoppers in the country that has different programs other than taking tips. So, for example, we have a safe school program that gets into the schools. We have a victim advocacy program in which I head as well. So we're truly blessed and honored to be able to do what I do. I serve on the board of Parents of Murdered Children and Surviving Family Members of Homicide. I've been with that organization now. I'll age myself for going 30 some odd years as well. We meet the second Tuesday of every month at Crime Stoppers, and anybody is welcome to join us and show their support for families who lost loved ones to homicide. We meet from 7 to 9 p.m. and also serve on the board of Texas EquiSearch, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with, on the search and rescue. So I've been doing this now for 30 some odd plus years. I started off in the mayor's office for 18 years, and I went over to Houston Police Department, and now I've been at Crime Stoppers for 6 years.
I think everyone knows your name. You're on the news quite a bit there.
You know, it's interesting. Years ago when I was at City Hall, I remember I was stopped by a Houston City Council member, and he stopped me in the lobby, and he said, "Hey, Andy, we hadn't seen you on the news in a while." And I stopped, and I said, "You know what? That's good." Because when you see me on the news, it's not usually for something good that's happened. I'm usually there in response to somebody that either lost their life or was a victim of a violent crime or something went wrong and something happened. So if you don't see me in the news, that's actually a good thing.
It is a good thing. It's a good thing.
I'll give you some of my mantras just because I'm old and I've been doing this for a long time, is that we deal with I work with people who had the unimaginable things that have happened to them as a result of somebody else. So I can't go back and change what happened to you or your family, but we try to make things better for others to come along, and you've achieved a lasting legacy. And that's always been our motto, is taking a negative and turning it into positive action for social change. And victims' rights has always been kind of a little bit on the back seat. And one of the ways that I'll tell you about that is that defendants' rights, and rightfully so, are protected and codified in the U.S. Constitution. Victims' rights still to this day are a mere courtesy. And one way of looking at it is if you are a defendant or a suspect or you're pulled over by law enforcement, you have to be read your rights as a Miranda warnings. And if you're not given your rights, generally the case is thrown out. But if you're a victim of crime and you're not told what your rights are as a crime victim, you might get a shrug of the shoulders or an I'm sorry. And that's part of the things that we have to deal with, is trying to make sure that victims' rights are on the same level as defendants' rights.
Well, I know a lot of people will say the defendants' rights don't always work that smoothly. They're arrested. Once you get arrested, the typical is the handcuffs go on you, and it's very hard to get out of those handcuffs.
Well, keep in mind that in this day and age, from the time that you're charged with an offense, from the time that perhaps you're found guilty or a case is dismissed or a jury finds you guilty, you've got years and years in between. And so right now, the majority of defendants who are in county jail are generally in there for felonies. Very few people are actually sitting in the county jail for misdemeanors. So that's one way we're looking at it. So I've done in my career, I've always been of the perspective, instead of yelling and screaming about the injustices of the world, I would much prefer to find a solution and or a remedy. And one of the ways that we've done that is through changing legislation and changing public policy to enhance victims' rights and public safety. One of the avenues that that I'm most familiar with and have gotten probably more attention is the issue of parole. And I'll give you, in 1997, I was with a family, and I was in Angleton, meeting with a family with a parole board member, and the parole board member leaned over to me, and she said, Andy, we're just meeting you out of courtesy. We don't have to do this. And I smiled, and I don't get a chance to smile too often. I said, you know what? I'm going to remove the word courtesy. I'm going to get a bill filed that says you must meet with victims' families at their request prior to you making a parole decision. That's how that law came into effect, was simply a one person mentioning that we don't have to be doing this. So we try to take glitches and we try to turn it into positive action.
So positive action, does that mean you're in favor of rehabilitation?
Absolutely. And I know that surprises people, but the reality is the majority of offenders are going to be coming back to society. Most of them are going to be returned back to the community. And you as a community have to ask yourself seriously, how do you want offenders back? If you want them back the same way they went in, guess what? We end up doing more tips at Crime Stoppers than we should. It creates more victimization. It's in the best interest of everybody to do whatever we can to make sure when someone is released back to the community to make sure that they do have the tools to succeed.
Wow.
And
I'm over here going,
No, and I'll give you it was an interesting story. I was a parole officer and probation officer for years, so I come from within the system. And a few years ago, I was walking to Kroger's, and I'm walking in, and I hear this person yelling, Mr. Kahan, Mr. Kahan, Mr. Kahan. And I'm like, oh, God, what's going to happen to me? So I stopped, and he came up to me and goes, Mr. Kahan, and he looks at me, he goes, I don't know if you remember me, but you were my parole officer, and I see you on the news, and I just want to thank you for what you did for me. You were always on my case, and you were always, riding me. And he goes, I just want you to know I own my own business now. I'm married, and I have kids. And he came up and he hugged me, and he gave me his name, and I actually did remember him because he was just a young kid, and I'm just like, John, you got to get your act together. This is not how you want to go through life. And I was really touched by that.
so you're in favor of rehabilitation. Now, a lot of rehabilitation right now is coming from the tablets that they have. Or do you have any problems with
None.
incarcerated people having the
No,
tablets?
I think you've got to have people that are connected because, again, if you're not connected to the real world, how are you supposed to function when you get out? So I think if you give the tools that are necessary, and if you come out and if you decide you don't want to be a law-abiding citizen, the very least we can say is we gave you every opportunity to succeed. And when I go meet with the parole board, keep in mind I'm generally with victims who've lost loved ones to homicide. That's the most of the cases that I deal with at Crime Stoppers are homicide, violent crimes. So I don't really deal with that many other crimes. So when a family is going through the parole process, and I hear it all the time. You get it from both sides, But I can tell you when a victim who lost a loved one, a surviving family member of homicide, that they're going through the parole process, it opens everything back up because it's like time stopped. By the time you get a notification letter, by the time a decision's made, it's usually half a year. And that's not fair for anybody. It's not fair for the family. It's not fair for the defendant, for the offender in prison to be sitting there and waiting 6 months to find out. So that's one of the things I'm actually going to be working on next session is to reduce the time between when you get notified that you're eligible for parole and the time of the decision is being made.
You know what? That's incredible. Now, because I know a lot of some of my friends have been in there in excess of 30 years, and they've done every program. So how, for rehabilitation, it's like how much rehabilitation can they get when they've done everything?
And that's a hard question to answer because I know during a legislative session there's always a bill that comes up. I think it's called Earned Good Time Credit.
Absolutely.
And right now, basically, if you're convicted of a violent crime, you got to do half your sentence, no good time credits. Doesn't matter. And what I've told those who support that bill, I get where you're coming from. The problem that I have with that bill is the families that I deal with. And the majority of these cases are plea bargained out. Maybe 5% go to actual trial. So when I tell a victim's family who lost a loved one to homicide, take the 40 years. They have to do 20 years before you're in the parole process. If you pass a bill like that, that changes everything for them. And it puts victim advocates like me in a very precarious position. What I've told the supporters is if you really are serious about passing a bill, you have to remove the retroactive clause. And I know that's hard to hear.
Yeah.
But that's reality because on the other side where I sit, I have to deal with the families who basically been told and promised by the court, promised by the prosecutor, promised by victim advocates like me that you're going to have to do half of your sentence. And I don't want to have that basically taken away from them.
Okay. Well, like you said, it's hard for people like me to hear that.
Well, one thing you'll find about me is I shoot straight, and when you advocate on behalf of one faction, just like you do here, on behalf of offenders, like I do as a victim advocate, you generally are going to infuriate the other faction, and that just comes with the territory. And
Well, I am a victim. I was raped, and my cousin was also murdered. So I have it on both sides.
yes, you do.
But getting back real quick to the tablets, how do you feel about death row having tablets?
You know, again, I don't have any issues with that at all. I mean, you're on death row. You're basically confined to a cell for 23 hours a day. I mean, I don't see, again, any harm in having that. And I think you'd also be surprised dealing with the AC issue. And I think looking at putting air conditioning in prison units benefits everybody, and especially not just the inmates, but the staff as well, because they have to work there as well. So I think you're going to see additional pushes for that, and I don't see any harm in that as well.
Wow. I don't know. I think Paul wanted to ask.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you. So,
Okay, first of all, I was not aware that I was going to be questioned by a defense attorney, so, but that's fine.
you can plead the fifth. Okay, can you hear me now? All right.
I hear you pretty good.
So, being on the other side, one of the things that is always tough for me and my clients is the length of time that it takes to get from arrest to resolution. Like you said, it's usually years. What's it like for you to get to be standing by victims for years and years until the case is resolved?
It's horrific. Some of the families that I've dealt with are going on 4-5 years, waiting and waiting and waiting. And one family, got the shock of their life because when it finally was 5 years and her son was murdered, it was a robbery at a Subway, and they put a pistol on his mother who worked there as well, and he jumped in between and he lost his life. 5 years went by between arrest and the time they were going to trial. They had to dismiss the case because they couldn't find the witnesses. 5 years went by.
Do you think we should be advocating for speedy trial reform? Because right now, statutorily speaking, Texas has no speedy trial requirements.
Well, one of the bills that passed last session was SB 402 that basically now expedites those who are awaiting trial for capital murder and murder. They're basically supposed to be going to the front of the line. Whether or not that's going to happen or not, time will tell. But I am seeing more and more cases that are actually going to trial and cases that are being pled out as we're finally coming back from Harvey, the pandemic. I mean, you got hit with a double wallop back there, and that affected everybody.
Right, and we have more courts now, which I think is a plus. We have, I believe, 4 more courts or 8 more courts?
6 more courts.
6 more courts, and I think we have 2 more coming, right?
Well, I think there's 3 now and 3 more coming, yeah.
Right. So we do have more capacity, but we see defendants being outsourced to Mississippi, post Louisiana. The jails are overflowing. The turnaround times are still insane. In federal prosecution, if the defendant elects speedy trial rights, depending on what type of case it is, if the government doesn't bring the case within, I think it's 60, 80, or 90 days, the court has the authority to throw the case out. Do you think that there should be something like that to force not only defense lawyers to be ready, but prosecutors to be ready, so we're not left in limbo and left in litigation?
I don't know if you can put a blanket on that because each case has to be looked on its own merit. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can just say X amount of days, ready or not, here we come, because that works for both sides. And I see it, where prosecutors are asking for resets, but I also see defense attorneys time after time again asking for resets as well. So I don't know how you could conclusively say you got to be ready to go in X amount of time because each case has to be looked on its own merit.
Okay. The other question I had while you were talking about parole is it sounds like you're doing a lot of advocating for individuals that are seeking release on murder. Am I understanding that right? I
basically work with the families who, in most cases, are in opposition to having that person released on parole. Their perspective is very simply, this person deprived my family member of their life. All I ask you to do in return is deprive them of their liberty, and they feel that is a more fair and equitable exchange.
So, from what I've seen, the average murder sentence goes between 35 and 50 years. If it's not, it's a life sentence. Is that what you're seeing?
I'm not seeing that anymore. I've seen 20. I've seen 10. I'm seeing actually less sentences now than I had in, let's call it, in the other era where you had like a district attorney that actually sought more death penalties right now. I see very few people actually being sentenced to death than I had in the previous 10 years. So I'm not seeing that many of the longevity sentences as I've seen a lot of them are getting pled out anywhere between 20 and 40 years.
Do you think the election to seek death has do you think there's a relationship between the sentences you're seeing and we have a reformist DA still now for the next couple of months until we either get Mr. Simons or we get Mr. Tier in there. Do you think that reformist perspective to not seek death has led to smaller sentences?
I think the biggest causation of the lack of seeking the death penalty is were you getting life without parole? I think if you look simply at the numbers, when you gave the option of life without parole as opposed to actually seeking the death, that basically put the book on a majority of the death sentences.
Yeah, I think
support for the death penalty has gone down across the nation.
Would it surprise me to see the death penalty go out? No. Would it bother me? No. But each case has to be looked on its own merit. I've worked with victims' families who obviously want the death penalty. I've also worked with victims' families who don't want the death penalty. So you can't just put a broad brush and say, well, what the victim says should go, because that's not what justice is, and that's not what should be happening at the courthouse. You can't just say, well, the victim's family want the death penalty, so we're going to seek it. Or you can't say, well, the victim's family don't want the death penalty, and we're not going to seek it. So, I think it's important for them to have a voice, but theirs is not the final voice in determining how the sentence is going to be meted out.
No, their voice isn't. And we've seen that several times with people not wanting the death sentence, and it's still done, carried out, even though they were on our side. As I like to call it, our side of the street.
Yeah, I mean, back in Paul, you've been around a while. I mean, in the 90s and even in the 2000s, I mean, people were getting the death penalty left and right. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. No, not at all.
I think Lucky Ward was the last one to be was it
sentenced to death? Yeah.
I mean, Lucky Ward was the last one, right?
Probably you can count them on my one hand and take off a few fingers how many of them actually been given the death penalty. So, it's a pretty rare thing right now. And I know Harris County gets pigeonholed, the death penalty capital of the world. And for full disclosure, I've been up to 9 executions with victims' families, and I can tell you, from a victim's perspective, when you are going up there as part of witnessing the execution, it is probably one of the most emotionally draining, grueling days you wouldn't wish upon anyone, because it's like time stops. And when you're up there, generally you're looking 15 years. Generally when you're up there, it's like everything reverts back to that day. It's a very emotional day for all, obviously concerned, but it's also emotional for victims' families.
I know Linda and I were friends with Carl Bunton, and when we walked out, that was a very emotional day, because obviously he was our friend. But when we walked out, we saw this sea of nothing but officers, and of course we heard the revving of the engines too. So, coming from both sides, I understand that.
I've seen them, where they're protesting. I remember one, it was very interesting, and it was Kenneth McDuff, who was the only death row inmate that was actually ever paroled, that actually was sent back to death row for killing other people. And there was a death penalty opponent that I knew, and he leaned over to me and said, Andy, we don't mind this one. And I went, well, actually you should, because you shouldn't differentiate between someone like Kenneth McDuff or someone else on death row. Either you're for the death penalty
or you're
against the death penalty. You shouldn't give a pass just because McDuff was a really, really bad dude.
Do you have time to tell your story?
I think I already told you that story where I came out and I was walking and this guy I did. And it just goes to show you that people, remember things that you do. And I think it's important that we all have a stake in making our community safe. And no one ever wants to be a victim of a crime. No one ever raised their hand and said, pick me, pick me. So where I sit, it's the least we can do, particularly in government, or what we do at Crime Stoppers, is to be looking out for the victims' rights, their due process, their well-being, and putting their life back together again. And that's what I try to do as a victim advocate.
Andy, I'd like to thank you for coming on. I'd like to thank you so much for being here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. I was thrilled when you gave me an invitation.
Yep. Maybe sometime we'll have you come back. I mean, I think it's been a very good interview.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll bring you, any family members or whatever, and we can sit and talk on, what's best for everybody to keep everybody safe and what's best for people that are in prison who are eventually going to be released.
Well, we'd really appreciate it. We were talking earlier about victims, and one of the things that we've been trying to work on is to actually interview different things from the whole prison industrial complex. I mean, it's not fair to the victim for us not to give that exposure or you that platform, and vice versa whenever it comes to death penalty or the defense attorneys. I mean, we need to have everybody involved. That's what the prison show is all about. That's how Ray did it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to work with you guys on anything, and I think it's good to get perspectives from all perspectives.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate it.
Hey, Andy, I got to call in a tip. I saw David speeding.
You are eligible for up to a $5,000 reward. But we'll make an exception. We'll give you $10,000 on this, but you got to remain anonymous.
Okay? It's only because that Harley,
I don't want to know who you
can't
are.
Keep her down.
All right, now we're gonna scoot on over to Mr. Paul Morgan.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going. Yeah. I think. Did you introduce yourself when you started asking Andy question? Well, he is Paul Morgan. He was the one asking the hard questions.
Yeah. So my name is Paul Morgan. I'm a board-certified criminal defense lawyer. I've been a lawyer for... Hold on, David's...
Move your mic to where you're talking into the mic. That's a 1980s mic. You got to talk into it.
Is this better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better, but you see how mine's shaped and directed like that?
Like this?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, is this better?
That's a lot better.
Okay. All right. So I'll just take it from the top again. My name is Paul Morgan. I'm a criminal defense attorney. I'm board certified in criminal law. I try cases. I do writs. I do appeals. And I mainly practice here in Harris County. So I think it was interesting to hear Mr. Kahan and hear Mr. Kahan talk about one side of going through the criminal process. I want to talk about the other side because I don't know if I agree with the proposition that defendants get essentially all of their constitutional rights protected. That was a very grand sweeping statement, and I was really admired everything else that he said, but I have to strongly disagree with that one point, and I hate to pick on him when he's not here.
I think everyone pretty much, and yeah.
So here at the station are Mr. Clark and Mr. McDonald. Me and Mr. McDonald, we had a professional relationship. We went to trial in the 177th for a murder case. He testified, the jury absolutely loved him, and he was acquitted of the charge of murder. And one of his co-defendants was Mr. Clark over here that also benefited from the acquittal. Both of these gentlemen went through many years at Harris County, and I could tell you right now, rehabilitation, speedy trial rights, getting them to trial, discovery. These guys have a completely different perspective of whether or not that is something that is honored and timely. Like Josh.
Yes.
Tell us how long you were in jail before you were given any type of trial setting.
Not to mention how many times I bonded out. Let's just say that first.
Talking to the
Okay, yeah. Let's just say how many times I bonded out first. So you got to think, innocent or guilty, you still have to post bail. So that's the money being spent to even get out and fight for your freedom. So while you're out, you're under these stipulations, and I mean, it's hard to follow every rule once you're under home confinement, house arrest, or anything. So then you go back. So about 5-6 years in and out, just trying to figure out what's next. So if I did have a speedy trial, that definitely would have helped. I would have got acquitted, maybe 4 years ago, and could have moved on with my life.
So when you had your first trial, though, something happened that caused it to not go forward. Tell us what happened.
I had a mistrial.
Yeah.
From the looks of it, it was prosecutorial misconduct, if I'm saying it right. So this was something that Paul just went and looked at. So even that, was something that could have just been avoided.
Yeah. So essentially, when Josh went to trial with his first attorney, the prosecutor, either just through a mistake or because he was new, he introduced an inadmissible piece of evidence and caused a mistrial. And that was, 2-3 years in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
2 years.
Yeah. And was that while you were on bond, or was that while you were in custody?
In custody.
Okay. So prosecutor made a mistake, and that caused approximately how many more years of waiting?
4 more years.
Okay. And most of that was in custody, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have cash bail, which should be reformed. The federal government doesn't have cash bail. The Bail Reform Act, when that came in, completely eliminated the any type of financial conditions being imposed in order for defendants to be released. And those defendants are accused of very serious stuff: child sex trafficking, major drug conspiracies, weapons trafficking, organized crime. Those guys do not have to post cash bonds if they are deemed eligible for release. Harris County and other counties in Texas, even if you are completely innocent, you got to pay to play. And approximately how much did you spend on bail?
Out of 4 bails, maybe like let's say $40,000.
And Clark, how much did you spend on bonds?
Maybe like 50 or 60,000.
Yeah, and that's not fair when you have defendants that are wrongfully accused of a crime. Like at that point there should be some type of legislation that allows for you to recover that money back. If crime victims are allowed to go to the crime victims fund and seek money for damages, defendants that are wrongfully accused and are acquitted should at least be able to recover the bail money that they spend while the case is pending. That's my personal opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Strongly agree.
Yeah.
So, life outside jail and life inside jail. What's the biggest difference the two of you can point to?
As a man, I'm just gonna say, just fending for yourself. You're in jail, so you get accustomed to just asking people for things and calling for things. When you get to the real world, you're back into, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for this? And you don't want to go back to what got you in there, or, maybe another way to make money. So I say that's the big difference to me.
And when Mr. Kahan was on, there was a lot of questions to him about rehab. Is there anything in the jail that allows for gentlemen such as yourself to be rehabilitated or allowed to be given programs for reentry, or are you guys just brushed off and left to fend for yourself?
Very much brushed off and left to fend for yourself.
Yeah, I remember back in 2018, it was more like, law library, things like that, where you can educate yourself on law at least. But, since COVID, it wasn't brought back. Even when COVID ended, it was no type of education, nothing to even, help when you get out.
So if you wanted to find something like a skills program in Harris County, you couldn't apply and be like, hey, when I get out, I want to be a truck driver or something like that?
Not at all.
No. So if we were to go back while y'all were in jail and be in a little time capsule and watch what it was like inside, describe what the conditions were.
Oh, man.
Go ahead. A lot of times we're very dirty and hot. The food is very it's pretty poor. Some that like maybe once it's like something that you could really just like stomach eating, but most of the time it's just very much just thrown together and sometimes not even cooked all the way. And also like recently, well, this was probably about a year ago when I was in jail, they didn't have like any really just hot water. You have to like use in order to cook your food. You have to use water like out of the shower or out of the sink drain, and that's not even really humane because it's like, how are you supposed to eat? Well, how are you supposed to eat noodles, and you can't even cook them all the way? So you have to just like eat raw noodles, and that's basically like what you're eating every day.
I'm still stuck on the bed bugs and lice. That
A lot of bugs.
Oh yeah.
So where does that come from? Where was the bugs and the lice?
I think honestly, the blankets that they give you, they wash about 100 of them at a time. So you just think about people coming in from off the street with different diseases, different things like that, and just one wash on 100 blankets is
Right,
not gonna
and
do
it's
it.
only like they probably only change their blanket out maybe like once every 2 months.
Once every 2 months.
Oh
so.
my God.
Gross.
Yeah,
so-
definitely. So sheets.
Whenever
and,
I was in
regular
Harris
laundry,
County
like-
Jail, they were so crowded they were sleeping by the toilets.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you'd have guys all curled up by the toilet while you're trying to take a dump, or
That's
people urinating, and I mean you're
Definitely.
splashing them and everything, and they
Oh,
won't move.
God.
They're just that's where they are.
And it's worse when you got to fight over toilet paper. They only give you like, okay, so maybe it's like 28 people in a dorm. They give you maybe like 2 or 3 rolls of toilet paper to last for the whole day. And you got to think about it. Just do the math,
Yeah.
They won't give you more if you run out?
If they
No, it's a
give
hassle.
you, it's a hassle.
To even
You
get
probably-
chemicals to mop the
Yeah, to
floor
get
is like
chemicals
you'll
to
wait
clean
3
up.
hours, like stuff like that. So it's like, oh, they'll tell you we only got one mop and broom for the whole floor, and you like, you just doing the math, like, oh, I'm not gonna get that until tomorrow. So you have people getting like sandals, sweeping the floor with their sandals. It's just a lot of that going on, and they don't have the right chemicals, the right hygiene to like even keep the sicknesses and
And
stuff
then
away.
even sometimes when you do get the chemicals, you might, like say you the last person to get the chemicals, you might get some chemicals with some water poured on top of it that's really not even chemical like anymore. So it's just like,
it's
No
it's
more
bad.
bippy parties.
Yeah,
Right.
it's bad. It's bad. Just
Y'all
thinking
know what a
about it,
bippy party is, right?
Yeah.
No.
nah.
Bippy party is when the dude comes in off the street and he's so dirty and nasty, everybody gets out the dong brushes and the bippy,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they go give him a bath.
Oh yeah, that's every day, every new house.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Tell us about security. So everyone assumes that you go to jail. There's jailers in there. There's police everywhere. It should be a safe environment. Is that an accurate assumption or is that an inaccurate assumption?
I think about 10 people died last year just off of assaults from inmates and officers. So even if the cameras are there, it's only for the use of catching someone in the act of something. It's not usually to go back and help with somebody who got assaulted. It's not really for those purposes. It's more like to catch someone in the act of maybe smoking or doing something like that, tattooing. It's more like to catch somebody, not to, provide
Help.
the security. Yeah,
Yeah.
to
Not to
prevent
prevent
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I'm still on the. David had to go ahead and mention the.
Well, we could talk about worse stuff. I've been in there a long time.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm good. I'm good. But thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate that vision of the toilet.
Yeah.
Man.
So talk about your case a little bit, Paul, from your perspective.
So me and Josh met through a mutual client, very close client of mine named Mike, and then I saw Josh had a self-defense case, and in my opinion, very meritorious. It was it just getting him ready for testimony, going through the discovery and all that. Man, it took 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it took a long time, but he testified beautifully. After the jury said not guilty, something that has never happened ever in my career happened. Our whole team was brought in because there was 5 of us. two other lawyers. There was a paralegal. There was a law student from Cornell that really took a shine to Josh, and the jury pulled us in and said, "Listen, we don't know what actually happened. We strongly believe this was self-defense, and it looks like Josh is a real good kid, and so we want to give him another chance." And then it was a bunch of glowing stuff about performance and how Josh is going to live like a better life and be given a second chance, and that really touched me. You know,
Yeah.
For the most part, my career is dealing with politics, dealing with bonds, and dealing with cases that don't have the same defenses that Josh has. And after he was acquitted, he's been prospering. Like, you could follow him on Instagram. He's a professional artist. He's extremely talented, and
we appreciate you bringing him in, and we appreciate you showing us, what's going on in on a good side. We don't always hear that. All we hear is the bad things.
Yes.
Every time I open up the paper or the internet or whatever, watch Channel 13, all I hear is the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to actually hear some good positive stories where the system, even if it took a long time, and I'm sorry guys that you had to sit in there, but at least the system worked
in our favor. Yes.
The jury came through, because usually a jury is just okay. But yes, it's always good to see positive examples of when the system works.
And we thank you for coming in,
Thank
Paul,
y'all for having
and
us.
bringing your lovely other half over there,
us.
even if she is just sitting over there Facebooking.
And what was your name again?
Joshua McDonald.
Joshua McDonald. And what's your name again?
And Claude Clark.
Clark.
Tongue
Claude
twister.
Clark. That is a tongue twister. Well, it was great meeting y'all. It was great meeting y'all. And congratulations on your
I like
freedom.
what y'all doing here. Keep it.
Yes, keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. So now we have Mr. Abe. Mr. Abe on line 1.
Well, greetings, everybody. Hi, it's Abe Bonowitz with Death Penalty Action. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we sure can. Go ahead.
Yeah. This comment here is no reflection on your other shows, but tonight's show has really been, worth listening to, and I'm going to be telling people to go back and listen to the recording, especially some of the very refreshing things that Andy said. I've known of him, and I don't think we've ever met in person, but I organized a Journey of Hope from Violence to Healing in 1998 in Texas, throughout the whole state, led by victim family members who oppose the death penalty. And I've known about him and Dudley Sharp and all them since 1998, and really just hearing Andy Kahn say, he wouldn't really care if they got rid of the death penalty, is like, that's just a moment for us all to pause and
I think I did pause and look at him. I was like, what?
Yes. And so it's a beautiful thing, right? I hope we do have him back on, and because especially when he's talking about the victim families and the weight and the draining that it happens, and what we all know is that when we make the victim families wait decades before they get around to this point of execution, and maybe that's supposed to help them heal and feel better. We all know that's not the case, and that we can do better, and we do better in the vast majority of cases. And, so I think there's an ally there in that regard, in what Andy Kahn has experienced, and hopefully, we could have that conversation. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's listening on the Facebook too, because I put a bunch of the links that I'm going to reference here in the comments on the Prison Show Facebook page. So make sure you go to check that out. And I'm just going to go on with what I've got here. One of the first things I put up was a link to the fundraiser for Sylvia Cantu. Ivan was executed a couple of weeks ago now on the 28th of February, and there's a fundraiser to help with funeral expenses and that sort of thing for Sylvia. So I want to just give a shout out to that and make sure people know that you could go and help there, and check out the other links. I'm probably not going to be able to mention every one of them.
I think he got cut off. Maybe Abe can... Abe?
No, not Abe.
Okay, we're going to place you on hold again. Hold on 1 second.
I've never been put on hold. Thank you.
Okay. I think, hey, can y'all...
This is Dani.
All right. Well, we're waiting for them to put you on hold. There we go. Abe, I hope you call back. Unfortunately, there were, as we know, there's technical difficulties a lot. But there's trouble putting people on hold. Anyway, I think that I want to reiterate what Abe was saying, and that if y'all could have seen me look at Mr. Kahan really quick when he said that he would not have a problem with ending the death penalty, which is awesome. Awesome. And I think, okay, I guess that wasn't, is that Abe? Huh. Okay. Well, maybe Abe just got his connection lost, but I think he was talking about Ivan's mom's. She has a GoFundMe page up right now for the funeral for Ivan. I think that I forgot how much they're trying to raise it for, but there is a GoFundMe, and if you would like information regarding that, feel free to contact Linda, I, or David. Even I think Stephanie has the information, so we'll be happy to direct you over to that. I think Abe was talking about that. I also want to bring up, since we are, let's see, TexasPoliticalPrisoner.com. Do y'all hear that? You want me to say it again? TexasPoliticalPrisoner.com. That is my friend, Mr. Ronald Pribble's website. It's brand new, and it just went live. In the coming days, he will have audio up, some more video. A lot more information is coming to that page. So please keep that to the foreground of your, maybe save it on your bookmarks. TexasPoliticalPrisoner.com. You may be familiar with it, with his case, because it was Kelly Ziegler's not first, but her biggest mistake, I think, or one of them. He has a lot of good claims on there. So we're going to get more information regarding that real soon. And hopefully, maybe this is Abe. Hopefully. But anyway, how did everyone think the Andy Cohen interview went? It went well. I think it went well. People were concerned about me. They were concerned about me. But I think that I held my cool. And because he's actually, before the show, we asked him some questions. And, you know, he has some really good ideas as far as getting, he has no problem with the tablets as far as death row is concerned. He has no issues at all with that. Before the show, we spoke a little bit more about it, and he doesn't see the harm in it. You know, like he said on the show.
Hey.
Hello? Abe?
Hey, sorry, I don't know. I didn't realize I was off. What was I saying when I cut off?
Oh, no. You were talking about Sylvia Cantu's page.
Oh, that early? Holy cow. Okay, gosh, I went through a whole bunch of stuff without even knowing I was off. Shoot. Well, so I'll put a bunch of links on there. How much time do you want me to take at this point? I'm supposed to...
you got 10 minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay. So sorry about that. I didn't realize I was off. So let me just back at my notes here. Okay. So quickly, some good news in Delaware. We believe that this coming week in Delaware, where the death penalty was thrown out by the state Supreme Court. We were able to pass legislation in the Delaware Senate. I was a big part of that campaign back about 10 years ago, but it kept getting held up by a desk drawer veto. One legislator can stop everything if they've got the power. But in Delaware this coming week, they're going to be starting to look at legislation that could constitutionally prohibit the death penalty from being brought back into that state. So there's a spot of good news. I already mentioned, I think, Sylvia Cantu in the links on the Facebook page for the prison show. You'll find something for the fundraiser there for raising money for a funeral and other expenses around the aftermath of Ivan Cantu's wrongful execution. So check that out, please. I was talking a little bit about what's happening in Oklahoma. We have legislation sponsored by right-wing pro-death penalty Republicans, very pro-death penalty, but recognizing how screwed up the system is. And they put legislation in that actually got out of the House Judiciary Committee a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately was not scheduled for a hearing on the floor of the House, and that makes it pretty much dead for the session in Oklahoma. But, we should look on the positive side, pro-death penalty Republican legislators seeing how stymied they are by the overwhelming power of prosecutors and police in the legislature. And that's a problem. And now they're getting to see that firsthand when they get stopped. And that means that we're likely to see the next Oklahoma execution of Michael Smith on April 4th. And we get to make sure we're signing the petition about that. And if you're anywhere near Oklahoma and want to come out and protest that execution, please do. There may be some litigation going on that case. Hard to tell. Of course, there's lots of litigation happening around the execution this week in Georgia of a guy named Willie Pye. One of the issues in his case, of course, is that his own defense attorney was a known racist, and this guy has definitely got clear developmental disability. There's so many issues to talk about. Of course, another issue that's happening, we've talked about the need to have greater scrutiny and transparency in execution processes. And in Georgia, that's one of the litigations. One of the things that's being litigated right now is by journalists, actually, about the access to being able to view the full execution process and hear it and all of that. This is a big deal in Alabama, where they just get everybody hooked up and then open the curtains. And in any case, that's one of the issues coming up. And there's so much more. Going to be delivering those petitions on Monday morning to the Georgia Board of Pardons and Paroles. So please go to deathpenaltyaction.org, sign the petitions for that one and the other cases of upcoming executions. So that's Willie Pye coming up, and Michael Smith. And then in Missouri on April 9th, Brian Dorsey is scheduled to be executed. He's got, an amazing array of people in his favor saying, don't execute this guy, including many corrections officers who know him. I mean, this guy is so trusted. He's the barber on death row, and he cuts the hair of prison workers. The warden and corrections officers trust him that much. He cuts their hair, and they don't need to execute this guy. And there's so much more. You can go to madpmo.org. That link is in the chat on the Facebook page to find out about that. And then we actually get a break. No executions between April 9th, currently scheduled between April 9th and June 6th, when there's the next execution in Oklahoma, Wade Lay, and then, of course, back in Texas on June 26th with Ramiro Gonzalez, sadly. So shout out to Ramiro, who is there on death watch now, and I think he's maybe the only one that's there at this point. I'm not sure about that, but certainly that's the next Texas execution. let's see. Other notes I've got here to make sure to share with you is the unfortunate news that they're starting to make noise about resuming executions after more than a decade in Kentucky. Yeah, that execution in Georgia that's scheduled for this week is the first one there in over 4 years. South Carolina's just about, waiting for a ruling and all, and to allow resumption of executions there. And of course, in Louisiana, they just brought back the electric chair and gas executions. So now it's only a matter of time before they set dates there. I want to note we're coming up in April, 2 years since Melissa Lucio got a stay. Greetings, Melissa. I hope you can hear us. A lot of people out there praying for you. We need to do everything we can to lift up that case. You can go to freemelissalucio.org, or again, the link to her petition is in the chat there. I think those are all the main things I wanted to make sure to point out. I know we're a little bit over time. You did. I just want to applaud everything that you're all doing there, and thank also Sandy, who was making some comments towards Andy Kahan in his remarks in the chat. Great job, Sandra Joy. One of my favorite people in Delaware, and waiting for her book to come out after that fantastic tour she did, traveling around the country, talking to people who witnessed executions. So with that, thanks everybody, and deathpenaltyaction.org. You can reach us at P.O. Box 89, that's 89 in Ghent, Ghent, New York 12075.
Well, thank you, Abe, very much.
Okay, glad I didn't drop again. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Okay, you too. Yeah, we're sorry that happened. We dropped them, and I'm sorry that my Facebook went a little crazy there with the music there for a second. I apologize. But like I said at the beginning, beware of the Ides of March. But David sent me a thing saying that's a religious, but I don't think it was religious. The Ides of March is a day in the Roman calendar that corresponds to March 15th. It is a day of religious observances and is associated with misfortune and doom. So what happened is they told Caesar to beware of the Ides of March. And then that's where the et tu, Brute came from, because someone stabbed him in the back. Hence the phrase stabbing in the back. So it all comes from beware of the Ides of March. That's where all that.
Et tu, Brute means even you, Brutus?
Yes. So he had a whole bunch of people against him.
Even the ones he thought was on his side.
Correct.
How many of us are that way today?
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but,
Well, today on my Facebook page, I posted a bottle of Caesar dressing with a knife in it, in the back of it. So, because it's Caesar, get it? Caesar.
All right. Dad jokes.
It was not a dad joke.
A mom joke?
Yeah, it was a mom joke. My little girl. I was telling her all about it. I don't have a little girl. I have 2 cats. I have 2 cats. So, David.
We don't have time for a break song, but I'm fixing to do the station ID and all that stuff. But, I mean, I think it's been a wonderful show. I mean, I'm not going to say that I sit here and agree with everything, and I never do. But I think that it was a good interview, and I think that Andy Kahan was very knowledgeable, and I think Paul did a very wonderful job. He told me he's actually done 5 of those, 5 clients who actually got acquitted. So it's not his first rodeo. It's just his first rodeo between them 2 guys, where the jury actually called him in and said some good things about the young man.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Most people, but I have to agree with him. All that money that them guys spent, and then they're acquitted, and they don't get none of that back. It's just
No, they don't.
And there's so many people nowadays that I mean, their whole life is turned around, or they lose their home, they become homeless. I mean, they lose their job. A lot of their families don't believe that they were innocent and judge them accordingly. I mean, it's just terrible the way the system does, and the truth doesn't come out.
No, it doesn't. It sure comes out when they find you guilty.
Yeah.
But not when you're innocent.
All right, so let's see what we can do here, and let's hear from Station ID. You're listening to KPFT Houston. Support for KPFT and the Prison Show is provided by the Cohen Parole Law Team. For almost 40 years, Gary Cohen has helped to represent incarcerated individuals throughout Texas, obtain parole, and fight parole revocations. We protect those who have fallen short of perfection from the wrath of those who believe they have attained it. More information about Gary Cohen and his associates, Alan Bennett and Gene Anthus, can be found on their website at parolelaw.com. You may also contact them at 512-476-6201.
All right. I guess we're going to get to the calls. We have Patty on line 1.
Hey, this shout out is from Humberto Garza at the Polinsky unit. Hey, mijo, just calling to say everything's good here. We might be getting some rain. It's a severe thunderstorm warning for Star and Hidalgo County. So it doesn't say it's going to hail. So I'm glad about that. Anyway, mijito, we have not gone to see Anthony because we have to get cleared. And it takes, supposedly, they said 3 months. So by then, he should be getting out. So anyway, and then he put my last name with an S instead of a Z, so that's going to take time also. Anyway, Tina's pool should be ready next week. And Brandon is playing soccer now. AJ and Jackie were here this last weekend. We had pizza and stuff. I miss you, mijito. Hope you're doing good. Amanda was going to visit you. She was glad she didn't call it in because she says it's pouring in Houston. So I'm hoping, I don't know if your mom's going to come up or Jennifer, but hopefully you'll get a visit the following week, mijito. I love you and miss you. Bye-bye. Thank you, Prison Show.
Thank you, Patty. Have a great weekend. All right. She was fast on that. All right. Let's go down to Julie.
My love, and I just want to let them know that you know, we're going to have our ups and downs, and just let him know. I just want to let him know that I love him very, very much, very deeply, because he's the only man that I've really loved real deeply like that. That I love, like I've never loved anybody like that. Like I loved him, and I know we're going to eventually work out our problems, and I miss you, and God did not put us yoked together for nothing, and I think that's why our love is so strong for each other, and I know God will work everything out between us. So I miss you. I'm thinking of you, and I want to let you know, sweet dreams. Call me when you get time. Love you, baby. I miss you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. I hope you have a great weekend.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, now we have Jackie.
Hello, my name is Jackie and I'm from Germany and have a message for my friend Carrie Allen. Hi Carrie, my wonderful friend. I'm a little bit excited because I'm speaking English right now. I hope you understand me, even so my English is not the best, but I try my best. Yeah, it's time that you learn to speak German and we can talk in German. Yeah, I hope you're doing well and you have a good day so far. By the time you hear this message, it will be very late in the evening for me in Germany, and I will probably, such a difficult word for me, be going to bed because it's late in Germany. I wanted to make you happy with this message, and I hope that you're smiling now a lot. And I want you to know that someone on the other side of the world is thinking of you, and I thank God so much for our precious friendship. You are a blessing in my life, really a big, big, big blessing. And please feel my hug and thank you for all your love. You're so, so wonderful. And I hope to see you soon. Wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I love you and I miss you. And yeah, lots of hugs and kisses from Germany. Your friend Jackie or Jacqueline. And to everyone else listening to this, I want to say that you are so loved by Jesus. All my love from Germany. Bye bye.
Well, that was so nice, Carrie. All right, now we have Ashley on line 5.
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Cell Unit. I love you and I miss you, and I hope you're doing well, Dad. I set up a new visitation portal to visit you, so hopefully we'll be able to visit. Thank y'all so much for the show. God bless y'all.
Well, thank you. Somebody asked me where you've been because they enjoy hearing your shout outs.
Oh yeah, no, I'm homeless, so I'm hit rock bottom, but I'm okay. God's got me.
Okay.
I've been dealing with the word, so yes. And I can't wait for Christian to pee on you, Dad. So Christian's gonna pee on you, and I'm gonna enjoy it. So. All right, thank y'all so much. God bless y'all.
Okay, God bless you too, Ashley.
All right, thank y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we have Carmela.
Show. Thank you for taking my call. I hope everybody is safe in the weather. I have 2 shout-outs I'd like to make. The first one is to, excuse me, Marcus Mullen at Montgomery County Jail. Hi, Marcus. I hope everything's going okay for you. I just want to let you know that you haven't been forgotten. Think about you often. And the family's doing good. What else? The chickens are doing good. Some of them are misbehaving, like Rudy and forgot the other the rooster's name, but we had a horrible rain today. The power went off briefly, but thank goodness it came back on. The family's been gone all day, as you probably are aware of. But poor Daisy got caught out in the rain. I called her twice, and she didn't come, but thank goodness she came the third time. She was drenched, bless her heart. Just hope everything's going well for you and that your case is proceeding positively. Just take care, keep your chin up, and know that you're loved, especially during this Lenten season. Just know that you're loved, and I think about you often. Take care. The second shout-out is for my nephew, Bradley Leland Aiken at the, I keep forgetting that name. Starts with a B.
Beto unit?
Yes, thank you. It's a Beto unit. Bradley, I hope you're doing okay. Just hope you're keeping your chin up and just keep thinking positive thoughts. I hope everything's going okay for you on your case. I hope you're keeping warm and cool as the days change. I hope you're dry. We had an awful rain here today. I think it's supposed to rain all weekend. I talked to an insurance agent in Dallas today. So hopefully, I did change my Medicare coverage. It's hell to get old, but I hope I'll be able to maneuver through Medicare. I hope you're doing okay. I don't really talk to the family much. I hope everybody's okay in that respect. I do text your dad, and he's doing okay, hanging tough. Just take care of yourself, please, and just stay safe, and just know that you're loved. I love you, even though I haven't seen you since you were a juvenile. Maybe one of these days God will reunite us. But I've never forgotten you and never stopped loving you. I never stopped loving your brother, even though we don't communicate. I've seen him a couple times when he's come with your dad to visit me. But I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay, and I hope you're continuing to do okay. I guess that's all. I'm sorry, I'm just really tired tonight. But you take care, have a restful night, and a great weekend, and you have a blessed Easter, Bradley. I love you very much. Thank you, Prison Show, for all you do. Please stay safe on the road tonight, whether you're traveling in your car or your motorbike. Please be safe.
All right. Thank you, Carmela.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we have Caitlin.
Hi, this is a shout out for Bethel Garza and Polonsky. Hey Boo, how are you? I hope that there's a smile in your handsome face and that you're in good health and spirits. As for me, I am okay. I am just outside work, about to go in. So yeah, that's going to be me for the next while. Then also Daytona is doing good, and Buddy is also good, and I'm going to go up to Buddy tomorrow. The weather here, yeah, well, you can guess it. It is, well, it's actually raining now, but the sky looks pretty dark and grey and cloudy. So, yeah, I'm thinking it is going to start to rain again. But yeah, there'll be not much surprises there. So, like as I said, if I start quacking, please forgive me. And that is the reason why. Other than that, yeah, please know that you're my heart, thoughts and prayers. And know that I'm sending you a big, big hug. So good night, sweet dreams, and stay safe. And to everybody at the Prison Show, a big, big thank you for making this happen.
I was quacking earlier with all that rain we had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dee Dee was not wanting me to ride the bike, and I was watching the weather, just waiting for it to clear.
I know. You waited till the last. You were like, I'm gonna ride right now.
Yeah, I had to go. I mean, it was clear, but you know, on the way down, I could see the lightning that was still going on in the southeast. So.
Hey, wanted to let Ashley, if you're listening still, I know you did a shout out earlier. If you can, give Linda or give the station a call back and talk to Linda so we can get your phone number. And if her father is still listening, drop us a line. You know the address. 226. Chipmunk Trail, Shepherd, America. 77371, David?
Yep. Shepherd, America.
Shepherd, America. All right, Miss Shirley is on line 4. Hey, Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Okay. I was doing a call out to Blaine. Hi, Blaine. I love you very much. I was glad to hear from you today. I was very glad to hear from you today. And keep your head up. We all praying together. And I'm going to look up some more on my uncle, so see if I can find some more stuff anyways. But I love and miss you. Good night kisses, sweet dreams. And hopefully I'll get to talk to you tomorrow, okay? Thank you. Love you, Blaine.
Thank you, Miss Shirley.
All righty.
Have a great weekend. All right. Now, I guess we have Mike.
Hello, this is Mysterious Mike for the Prison Show. I'd like to do my shout-outs to the guys in Texas, Guy Alexander, Jamie Cuppett, Stephen Russell, Stephen McGee. Shout-out for Philip Perez. Lucy and Michelle want me to do a shout-out for Paul. Shout-out for Jovan. Shout-out for Matt, Thomas, Oz. Shout-out for Haas. Shout-out for Keith Money. Tasha wants me to do a shout-out for Payday. Shout out for Edward Rees, Adam Wilkerson. Special shout out to Bill R. Sims. Shout out to Clarence Lee Bowman. Hopefully you're doing much better. Raymond Lee Cart. You can continue to write to Mysterious Mike in care of David Collingsworth. And I'd like to wish everybody a go rodeo and happy St. Patrick's Day from the world's tallest leprechaun, Mysterious Mike. Solanche.
Did he just say the world's tallest leprechaun? I think he did.
Yeah, he says he walks on stilts in the parade or something. He said that for years. He dresses up like a leprechaun and walks on stilts.
Okay.
I'd like to see that.
I'm so disappointed. I haven't seen that yet. All right. Now we have Anjanette. Anjanette.
Hey, Dani.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm wet. It's wet.
It's rainy. Seen a rainbow earlier.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I was in my backyard. I was cleaning some stuff out, and I looked up. I was on the phone with Will, and I was like, look, a rainbow. I took a picture. I want to give a quick shout-out to Big Will on the Polanski unit on Life Row. Hello, my baby. Hi. Just here, home. Gonna get ready for bed. I'm very tired, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. I'll be thinking of you and dreaming of you and calling you baby all night long. Pray for us, my love. Pray for us, and God bless you. I hope you have a good night. Sweet dreams. They're always sweet because we're in them. Can't wait to hear from you tomorrow. A real quick shout out for some of the guys, well, all the guys at the Polanski, but especially the ones on my pro. Blaine. Hey, Blaine. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Mayo. Bethel.
Mayo.
That's just going to stick. That's going to stick with him forever now. And we got to thank Miss Shirley for that.
Yeah, it's permanent. It's a permanent. It's like a tattoo.
When she said it that night, I could not stop laughing. Dani. It was, yeah, that was really, really, really good. So we have Miss Shirley to thank for that. Thank you so much for that. Where was it? Bethel, Mark, Woody, Eric, Debo, And a very special shout out to the Fat Sweat crew on the Polensky unit. Much love and big hugs from Big Will. You already know what it is. Hug life, his life. You all have a good night. Of course, thank you all so much for everything that you do. And maybe I'll see some of you tomorrow. Maybe. Have a good night.
You too.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too, Dani. All right.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we have Stacy.
This is to my husband, Sporty Black at Wainwright Unit. Hey, baby love. Mwah. I trust you've gotten the e-note I sent out yesterday. I haven't heard from you today yet, though you know by now I've gotten the snailies. Happy Patty's Day weekend, yeah. Oh, it's a national everything you think is wrong day. So, you ask what is wrong today? Yeah, the Virginia governor vetoed the 1244 and accompanying bill on solitary confinement. Grr. But then we already knew it was coming. I know there was a lot of work put into the bill, but boo, we know it was a no-go with the gov. Anyway, maybe next year. It's been a pace day. The ladies got me up early and both are behaving. The weather is more like April showers bring May flowers. Yeah, all the spring blooms have been blossoming early, but there's a cold chill coming in next week. But the weekend is spring temperatures. Yeah, baby. This is just kissing you. Mwah. That all is well. And I trust we get our whispers tonight. Maybe stay focused and tough. Yeah, the diet is hard, but we've accomplished it for the March month, and I didn't think we could do it. Mom's came by today with the food delivery. Yeah, she's well. Baby, take care. Mwah. I love you so deeply, Sporty. Mwah. Take care. You're mine, sweetheart. I love you.
Okay, now we have Lydia on line 1.
Hi there, Dani.
Hey, Lydia.
I see you guys aren't having trouble today.
No, well,
like last weekend.
Don't jinx us. Don't do it.
Okay. I just want to wish Juan a happy belated birthday. And I want to tell my son to give me a call tomorrow. I was expecting his call later today, and he didn't call back. We're expecting a storm or rain around 3 a.m. is what the news is saying. We were supposed to get rain till Sunday, but now it's coming in like 3 a.m. is what they're saying. Maybe some hail also. We need the rain some. And today was, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day at the office and had green donuts from, I think it was Krispy Kreme. They were sweet, as you can imagine, but we enjoyed them. I want to give my thanks to Moises for his email, and I want to thank all the guys there that write to me for their messages and encouragement. I had a good day today because of the donuts, the green donuts. Nah, I just had I could only eat one. They were so sweet. But, yeah, I just had a good day today. It was really a pleasant day at the office. And I want to say my hellos to William Spear, to Big Lou, to Rudy, Eric, Blaine, Artie, Moises, Roderick, Mark, and Victor. Send my hellos. Okay? I love you and miss you, mijo, and be sure to call me tomorrow. Call me early. Okay? Love you, miss you, tight hug, and keep warm, puppy. I know you guys got rain up there too. Amanda was saying that oh, and before I forget, Amanda had said that she had written to you that she might go tomorrow, but she's not because of this weather that's going on. She said there was hail, and I think it was more of a storm that they were getting up there in that area, which I'm sure you guys got some of that too. Okay? Love you and miss you. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Lydia. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too, Dani. Good night.
Good night. Okay, now we have Dawn on line 2.
Hey, what's going on, Dani?
Just.
Boy, you sound like you don't even know me anymore. How y'all been?
Barely.
I know. I apologize, man. I'm still trying to get my life together out here, man. It's been challenging, but hey, I'm alive. I'm free, and I'm doing pretty good, actually.
That's good.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to call in and thank y'all, man, the Prison Show, for all the work y'all do, man, and all these advocacy groups that are putting it together, man.
Yeah, they're amazing. Brittany's amazing.
Yeah, Brittany's a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, and I just hope, I really want to encourage everybody back there, man, in SEG or in prison in general, man, that have family out there in free world, get them involved. Because a lot of the things, a lot of the stuff that they got going on back there now that they didn't have is because of the advocacy work.
You brought up a good point. Brittany told me to mention to everyone on death row also, and in ADSEG everywhere, that have your people contact us, Brittany, because, we do these chats, these group chats, these urgent chats, and we can get a lot of people to start contacting these units out there. We just have to let us know.
Yes.
Get your people to contact our people.
Yeah. A lot of these guys, they don't realize how much help they've got out here, and all they got to do is just get involved, get their families involved, and man, the advocacy groups are getting a lot done for them.
Yeah, and mass grievances.
Yes, man. If you got any kind of issues, man, food, cold food, no drinks, no mass grief, all you need is like 10 grievances. If you got somebody that's good with the typewriter, that's what I used to do when I was down there. If a lot of people don't like to file grievances, they don't want to sit down or write, or some people just don't know how to spell or express themselves. You get somebody with a good typewriter or somebody that knows how to write grievances, man, put together 10, 15 grievances, pass them out. Have the guys sign them, turn them in. Mass grieve is what is going to get something going. Once you got the paper trail, then you reach out, to you all, or you can reach out to Brittany, and they'll get something moving out here.
I guarantee you they will. Brittany will be on it, especially with the food too.
Yes, and that's something that I like. I've been seeing lately, because I'm pretty involved in these chat groups and stuff like that. I don't, not as much as I really wish, but whenever I see something, I feel something, I'm gonna speak my mind, and I'm gonna share my experiences. That way, other people that don't know will know what's really going on, because a lot of times, Dani, people will just watch these shows on TV, on the outside world, and it's like these segments that have been coming out on YouTube, Seg Warriors.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's badass, because it exposes, they can actually see these dudes, with their faces coming out the slots, and that's real life right there back there. They don't want to just be sitting in the slots. They don't want to just, no, man, they're trying to talk to somebody, they're trying to get attention. They're trying to get help, man. You know, and that Seg Wars, that was badass. I really like that. I seen both of them. One was on Styles, and the other one was on All Red.
Yeah, I saw the one on for the Styles unit. But hey, do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Yes. I want to shout out to one of my. Actually, I have a whole bunch of shout outs, but I'm not going to remember everybody. So, first of all, man, I want to do a little shout out to Raymond Quick Gonzalez. Yeah, and he's on Ferguson. He's going to have a birthday tomorrow, man. So, happy birthday, brother. Foster, man, on Polanski. Boxer, Pistolas. Man, I got a whole bunch of, man. If y'all know me, man, if y'all know Chano, hey, saludos. Shout out, man.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for everything you're doing to help everyone still in SEG.
Yeah.
And I know everyone appreciates you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm gonna keep at it, man. I'm gonna keep at it. I ain't gonna stop, man. I live that life. I'm still affected by it, and I ain't gonna stop.
Thank you so much, and thank you for calling in.
Okay, y'all have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, now we have Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, it's been a long time since I've called y'all.
Oh, it has. I recognize your laugh.
Yes. Well, we've been doing okay. I just wanted to give a shout out to Isidro, and I hope everybody's doing okay there. We're doing fine, mijo. Just want to tell you that we love you and hope to see you the end of this month. And don't worry about your animals; they're all okay. Especially Giganto. He's always doing really good. But I miss you, mijo. And like I said, I hope to see you. I missed a call or two from you, but anyway, I'll get to talk to you tomorrow. So I'll keep my phone next to me. And all your trees bloomed this year. So your mountain laurels, both of them bloomed. Big Bertha, the peach tree. Oscar, the pear tree. And also Frankie. He's the only one that hasn't bloomed yet. So, but I'll send you pictures. I love you, mijo. Good night. Let me pass the phone to Dad.
Hey, mijo. I love you, and we'll see you the end of the month. Your tia Surila told me to tell you that she loves you, and they're thinking about you, Julio, Brianna, Nina, Mark, and Jaime. They told me to tell you hi, and stay strong, and they love you, and just hang in there.
Ashley said to say hello to him.
Ashley.
Ashley Stacy's daughter.
Oh, Kaki said for that she loves you and to take care of yourself. Anyway, mijo, I love you and good night, and we'll see you the end of the month. Here's your mommy.
Good night, mijo. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. It was great to hear from you again.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, all right. I think Miss Linda wanted to say a few words.
Hi, guys. I had a senior moment tonight, and I left my list at home, so I'm just going to say hi to everybody. You guys know who I see, and I really had a great week visiting. I did 2 visits yesterday, and that was fun. And had a really nice meal with Paul DeVoe's son last night, and a good breakfast with Dani in the morning. But, gosh, Dani eats a lot.
Well, oh, my God. Thanks, Linda. I do not. I didn't even finish. Linda was the one scarfing down all this food. She had plates lined up in front of her.
It was good, though. We had a really good day. It started off very, very early, and then, it went to really kind of late last night, so it was a lot of fun. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I just left my list at home. I just forgot it.
Because she's old.
Yes, because I'm old and it was raining and I almost melted, because I'm so sweet.
Oh, whatever. Probably from all those pancakes you were eating yesterday morning. That's why you're so sweet. Yes, we did have a great breakfast yesterday morning. Met with some good friends over in Livingston for some breakfast. And then after visit, Linda insisted on eating more. So we went to Joe's Italian with Paul's son. So we did have a nice dinner.
Well, I lost 4 pounds this week, so I tried to gain it back.
In 2 days. So I wanted to give my shout outs. And before I even start, let me say, what is it? I have it right here. I had it pulled up. TexasPoliticalPrisoner.com. The case for Ronald Jeffrey Pribble Jr.'s exoneration. So go check out his site. I haven't really had a chance to get to all of it because I've been driving most of the day. But anyway, great big shout out to Roderick Harris and of course Jeff, Brett, Michael Ferguson, T. Hey T. Big Head. It was great seeing you yesterday. It was great. Blaine, Mayo, Leroy, Larry, Jay Van Story. I did get your poem, and next week, Linda will be reading it next week, Jay. So be on the lookout. Leo Willis, Joe Don, and of course, Big Daddy at the Win Unit. Yes, Big Daddy over there, Chucky. Enjoyed seeing you on Sunday. That was great. And a big shout out to my new friend, Driver, over at the Polonsky unit. It was great seeing you. And other than that, I know I had something else to say. Dawn reminded me, Brittany Robertson, she's the one that is a strong advocate for anyone in ADSEG. She did want me to let everyone on death row know that it's not just the general population or ADSEG that she's working on. They're also writing letters for people on death row in order to obtain more apps. The media apps, although the gaming app, the movies, everything like that, they're working on that too. So let me know if you're interested in getting on the team to help spread awareness, because she's good at that, very good at that. And David.
Who's that?
Brittany? Oh, you mean David. Yeah, I don't know. He's
I got you.
Yeah, you did. I was like, what do you mean? Brittany?
Paul keeps texting me. And somebody else texted me a story that said that out at the Ferguson unit, that somebody, there was a female guard that got attacked by an inmate. And TDC's Jay's trying to say it didn't happen. But they got pictures of it. Some employee actually texted the pictures and put it on Facebook, but yet TDC saying, "Oh, that didn't happen."
Oh, of course they're saying, "Oh no,
not at our unit."
Yeah. No, not at all.
That's funny. There's a lot happening in the news. I'm going to back up. I got a JPay from Cornelius Robinson, and I wanted to say, man, it was great hearing from you. I did time with Cornelius, and we both worked in the chapel on the bird unit, and he's since transferred. And whenever I signed up for Tifa, Cornelius is the one that I sent the newsletter to. So he's my quote unquote family member. He's my brother, my brother from another mother. So it was good to hear from him, and just out of the blue, we start J-paying. And I'm not one to like be a pen pal or something. I don't do it all the time, but it's good to hear from the guys from time to time, and not have a bunch of baloney like from our number one fan.
Oh, he's yours. He's not mine.
Yeah, no, that's your number one fan.
No.
So
Linda
likes him. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll give him to
Linda likes him. She can have him. My number one fan is on Polonsky.
Yeah.
My
Your real number one fan.
My real.
But the other one knows everything about us. I mean, he pays attention to everything, so he's really our number one fan.
Well, so, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think about it that way until Ray pointed it out one time. I forget what that guy's name is. We talk about him all the time, but we used to have a fan a long time ago that did the same thing. Everything we did, he had to tell us about it and tell us how we could improve on it or what we were doing wrong or whatever. But yet he knew every detail about the show. So he's really a fan. So
clearly. you know, I had a lot of people wanting to they're always critiquing me or telling me what I can improve on, and I welcome that. But when you're not doing anything right, like our biggest fan likes to suggest we don't do anything right.
Yeah.
It's like, never? Really? Not once? Did you think we did anything right?
Yeah, that's okay. You know, we do it for everybody, not just one person. And that's
Absolutely.
why whenever one person doesn't like a song that I play, well, maybe they'll like the one next week or something. I don't know. I can't make everybody happy. I can try, but, I mean, it's impossible.
It's not going to happen.
And, you know, I was thinking early. I've been thinking about the Andy Kahn interview all week and hoping that it went well. And I think it went well. And I don't think we'll always be opposite sides of the coin. He's a very nice guy. He came here. He represented himself. He's very professional, and I appreciate that. I seen Sharon made a comment. He's talking about the earned time credit bill, and what the earned time credit bill is used to years ago. No matter who you were, you got time for going to school. You got time for working. You got time. I mean, they have to work, and it's slave labor. And so what they're trying to do is trying to get paid or compensated for the time that they actually work. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I can understand that, and he should be able to explain that to a victim ahead of time. I mean, if it's his job is to be a victim advocate, and then they say, okay, well, they got 40 years, which means they're going to have to do 20 years if they don't go to school and if they don't get a job and if they don't do anything to better themselves. Because if they go to school and get a job and try and better themselves, then they will get a certain amount of credits towards their sentence for that, but it'll never equal the sentence. I mean, there's no way for that for work time. Work time's like 25%. So it's not going to equal their amount of time. They're not going to like. What is it, Steph? Your mic's not on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Well, the point is that with that bill, they only get credit for their work time. They don't get
Right.
credit for the good time. So
Right. It's not good time. It's work time. And they can get work time for going to school as well.
Correct.
Then going to school counts as your job because a lot of guys go to school. They don't have time to work because they're always in school or you're a full-time student.
Right. Well, I think that his problem, what he said was he didn't like the fact that it was retroactive.
Right.
And he's already, I think from my perspective, what I heard him say is that going forward, like if it was for people going forward, he could possibly adapt that language when speaking, like you said,
Right.
to the victims' families.
But he didn't want to go back because he's already
Right.
told all the other people that they were going to
Or
do
they had the
20 years on a 40 or whatever.
Right. And his problem is the retroactive.
Yeah, but sometimes in life, things are beyond our control, and we have to explain things to those that we're responsible for in that manner. I mean, I hope it gets passed, because there are men and women down there that are going to school and they're working and they're doing their fair share to rehabilitate, and they need to have some type of credit for that. Elsewise, it really is slave labor.
Or incentive.
Yeah,
I mean, if
incentive as well. You're exactly
if you
right.
have no incentive to do something well, and like I posed that question to them, if they've done everything, they've worked, they've never not worked. They've gone to school. They have every class you could possibly take, they've taken. What more? There comes a point when, like my parents used to say, getting blood out of a turnip. It doesn't. You're looking up something.
Yeah, I got this thing stuck in my head, and I don't know whether I should vent or not, but the HPD thing. I mean, that really bothers me that they have so many thousands of cases that they've just written off because they say that they don't have the staff to investigate it. You have, and I'm coming from an ex-offender's viewpoint, I mean, you got guys that are incarcerated and they just write it off. Did those guys get out? Were their cases dismissed, or are they still sitting there for all these years because nobody's investigated those cases?
Well, and in case people are not aware, the HPD issue right now is that, what's the police chief's name?
Troy Finner? Is that how you pronounce it?
Finner? Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. There's a load of, is it strictly...
No, I think there's all kinds of cases, but specifically is the sexual offender case, sexual assault cases.
Sexual assault. Yeah, I think that's where what's being presented in the media, that's where people are quite upset about it. That hasn't been. I guess they've. Did they actually close them?
There's a code they put on them. It's like SL or something, and I'm not sure what that code means. But that code means that they don't have the staff to actually investigate these cases, so they're just closing the cases.
Right, and they were instructed back in 2021, I believe, to stop doing that. The mayor's office told the chief to...
Actually, the chief told his staff to stop in 2021, and they continued doing it, and there's like 142,000 more cases.
Right, that they were just putting, we don't have enough staff.
Yeah.
So we're not going, well, I mean.
So now the chief goes to the mayor and says, hey, they're still doing this. Well, that's your staff.
I know.
I mean.
It's your fault.
You're trying to say, I'm not at fault, it's not my fault. And then he even went back to Chief Acevedo. How do you pronounce his name?
Acevedo.
Did I say it right? Acevedo. And he said, Acevedo says, well, I don't know anything about it. Well, he was the chief in 2016, so now you got two chiefs that are denying responsibility. And if they're not responsible, who is responsible? I mean, that's just...
Once you reach that pay grade,
yeah,
you are responsible.
For good, bad, or ugly. I was told whenever I was facility manager that whenever maintenance was doing good, I got the credit, but when they were doing bad, I got the credit. So, I mean, it's all part of it.
Freaking-lutely.
So I don't see how this guy could say, y'all don't do this anymore, and then 3 years later they're still doing it, and he says, but it's not my fault. I mean, come on, man.
When, according to media sources, all they had to do was pull a report where it was actually classified as that SL.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very easy to do. Either you're doing it or you're not. And when you have that many cases, so we wanted to, we were going, but I think that Paul Morgan was here and he asked Andy, or Mr. Khan, a couple of questions. So I think that we were going to address that because clearly they don't, HPD, any kind of law enforcement, they don't get everything right all the time.
Right.
They don't.
But 142,000 times, that's a...
I know, that's a big...
That's a little bit much
that's a
to
big
excuse that one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not my fault. Oh, come on now.
And you know, for them to trivialize some cases, like...
Say, One in particular that sticks out, and Andy commented on his Twitter page about it. There was a lady in her apartment all alone, and somebody broke in and actually put his face in her buttocks, and the cops haven't done anything about it.
He did what?
She was asleep at night in her apartment, and he came in and put her face in his face in her buttocks.
And that, I mean, was that the extent of the assault?
Yeah, because I guess she screamed and did all kinds of stuff, and he freaked out and ran away. But there should be some investigation here. This lady
Absolutely.
I mean, could you imagine? She's deathly scared now to be in her own home. I mean,
absolutely. There
should
be
what
some
guy's
kind-
going to come in and do that? I mean, that's just, and it has to be. You'd think about it. It has to be somebody that lives close to her, somebody maybe even that knows her, somebody that's been stalking her. All these things have to be going through her head. She's a true victim, and she needs somebody to do some investigation and let her know that it's going to be okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know. Those are the things I think about. Mr. Khan, I don't always agree with him, and I've heard some things from Bill Hayburn and different people that have been at the prison show before me, and perhaps maybe I've formed a difference of opinion. But whenever he's advocating for things like that, I have to agree with him. And you and I talked earlier today that some of the other stuff that I see, and I've always been upset with this, is guys get out of prison and they screw up and they go back or they get out and they do some really terrible, awful things, and all parolees get the blame for it. Mm-hmm. We all get restrictions. We all get. I had an ankle monitor for a long time, and I kept trying. I didn't have a victim. There was no victim in my crime, but they still did that because, for whatever reason, it was all the new laws that were coming out and going through. Everybody that had to get out had to get these things. And
well, he was. I will say I was a skeptic, but with direct questions, he was really serious. He has no problems with death row he has no problem with any incarcerated person getting a tablet. He thinks it's a good idea.
Sure. I mean, how else can the guys on death row, what are they going to spend their time on?
Well,
if they're incarcerated 23 hours a day, I mean, the tablets are a great thing.
But they have limited access.
Well,
but he has no problem with any of that. I think a lot of people on death row have been given the impression that he was responsible for a lot of the issues that they have with these apps. But
restricting them in different things, trying to
that he was complaining about different things. And I asked him direct questions before the show, a few during the show. And I really don't think he has no problem with the death penalty going away.
Right.
So, which, pick me off the floor. I mean,
Now, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I've thought about the death penalty a lot over the years because before I got involved with the prison show, I didn't know any better. And I was just like everybody else in the world. And it's like, well, they've done some really terrible things. They need to be punished for it. And maybe it's the better if they're just not, a part of life anymore. But really think about that. That's really some serious decision making to take somebody's life. And and for the state, I mean, we have children that steal a cookie out of the cookie jar. Does that mean we go steal something back from them to punish them? So if somebody else killed somebody, do we go kill them and think, oh, well, it's fair to do that? You're not supposed to kill anybody. And to take somebody's life, I mean, that is such a serious thing. And the state just does it like it's no big deal. Constantly. And it's...
And they spend millions doing it.
And that's another thing. Now, if I really wanted revenge, I would want to keep a person alive for a very long time so that I could punish him every time I think about it. So, I mean,
it's true.
To me, that would be the ultimate. And coming from an ex-offender, I mean, I've been there, done that with the incarceration thing. I would not wish that on my dog. I mean, being incarcerated is not it's not a good situation at all. And just to think that if you didn't have a chance to get out ever again, I mean, it's sad. And I mean, I went through it. I was facing 4 life sentences, and I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And you get all these fears and all these dreams that go through your head, and you just don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes I mean, it's just. But anyway, we get out of that dream. It's scary. It's something to think about. And I don't think he's the guy we thought he was.
I definitely.
I think he can be capable of some terrible things, and I know some things that he did that I don't agree with. But I've done a lot of things that people don't agree with. So I've done things I don't agree with. So.
I think he's more prone to putting someone in prison than punishing the ones that are already there with trivial things. I think he considers prison, and that is punishment.
That's their punishment.
And that is, just like death, is their punishment.
All the stuff that they go through in prison is not their punishment. It's the incarceration is their punishment.
That's right.
So, I don't know. It's 10:55. Thoughts for the night. You know, I was watching Ray Hill and some of those clips from the prison show film.
Yeah.
And I miss Ray. And Ray always had a word of wisdom at the end of the night. And I'm not as wise as Ray. And I guess my biggest thing lately is to try and make and I say it all the time, try and make the next right decision no matter what. I mean, I don't always agree with the next right decision. I don't always want to make the next right decision. Sometimes I'd rather just show my behind. And sometimes I do show my behind. And not like Hank. I'm talking about being a AWS.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
But no, I mean, I do. You know, I have anger issues. But to get out of that and to get back into life and actually be responsible, I make the next right decision whether I want to or not. And it doesn't always feel like the right decision, but you know mentally that it is the next right decision. And that's what I did for a year before I got out last time. I just kept making the next right decision because I knew that that's what it was going to take to get out. And someday, guys, you're going to get out. I mean, most of you will anyway. And there's no reason for you not to make those next right decisions so that you're used to it by the time you do get out. You heard what Don said. Don's been out, and Don's been doing good. Mm-hmm. A lot of us get out. These guys that were on the show tonight, they got out. They didn't know that they were going to get out. They didn't know what their life held, but they're making right decisions. They're doing good, and you can too. And Cornelius Robinson, he's doing great down there. He had a hard time because he got a big set-off, and it really hurt. And I understand the hurt and the pain that comes from set-offs, but continue to do the next right thing, and it'll all fall into place, and your time will go by quick. In the meantime, you guys stay tuned for Cnvrge. Cnvrge is coming up, some techno music, some in-house jams coming straight out of the college, and thanks for tuning into the Prison Show. We appreciate you. Tune in next week. Tell all your family to call us. 713-526-5738, option number 2.
Y'all have a great weekend.
Daddy, I'm coming to see you at visiting hours next week. Mama ain't been doing too well, I'll tell you more when we speak. And Billy's loving high school. He's out there blocking for JV. I'm sure he's gonna come around by the time you give a list. It's Friday night, the inmates go quiet. Listen for a voice they know. It's prison radio. It's prison radio. From Paris to Polanski. Bonjour, mi amor. In my dreams, I can see a freedom. Prison radio. Prison radio. And to all the laughers